Love.
I don't know. Why are you starting already?
It's because there's such a build up. Like.
No, it's just because I'm sweating.
No.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. You're through to another episode of Love Laid Bare, and I'm, of course, your host, Dionne. Now, I am joined again today by a good friend of mine, Aaron. He is the founder of Raising Boys to Men. We had a lot of feedback about the last episode that we did, particularly from men. And we thought it would be important just to address some of those points, because a lot of people felt like the conversation was a little bit one-sided. So, Aaron, welcome back again.
Thank you.
To Love Laid Bare.
I'm getting comfortable now. I should be here every week.
I mean, we can make it happen.
No, thank you for having me. I'm ready. Like, I feel like I had to psych myself up a bit for this episode.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because we're responding. And I feel like the page has got bigger since the last episode.
Okay.
And there's been a lot more comments. Everyone's got an opinion. And I think it's important to note, though, before we get into anything, it's important to note, I don't feel like we're ever going to please everyone.
Absolutely not. There is no way we can ever please everybody because everyone's circumstances are so different.
100%.
Everyone's perspectives are so different. I think we'll agree off the bat. We're not always going to agree. You guys listening are not always going to agree, but that's absolutely fine because we speak from our own perspectives, don't we? And our own life experiences. So that's fine. So should we just jump straight into it?
Let's just go for it.
Okay, cool. So I don't think I've had as much passionate feedback than I have with that episode that we did and the reels and all that type of stuff. And then consequently, there's even some more content that you've posted unrelated to the actual podcast that we did that have seemed to have riled people up to a certain extent. So one of the first things and the consistent bit of feedback I got was that men felt that you were almost you weren't being balanced in the things that you were saying, and also they kind of felt like you were pandering to women. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like it's important to know that we are a reflection of everything we've been through in life, right? And my journey in life was a young boy being raised by just my mum and my nan, whose dad wasn't present. So a lot of my speaking is coming from that stance of knowing what it was like for my mum. Mm-hmm. And almost, if I'm 100% honest, almost creating a page and a platform that I wish was there when I was younger.
Absolutely.
To speak to my dad. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I mean? Like maybe if there was a man around my dad when I was younger, giving him advice, showing him, look, you need to think about this, you need to think about that. Maybe it would have changed the direction he took.
Yeah.
But it's not to say I'm not aware of how women can be and how manipulative men can be and women can be. We can all play roles, but I just feel I'm speaking from a place of experience rather than a place of guessing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, from your perspective, what do you think has been the cause of the very passionate debate that's come off the back of you coming onto Love Laid Bare and us having that discussion?
I think it makes a lot of people think, right? So I think a lot of the stuff we spoke about and that I speak about on the page can trigger people for a number of reasons. It can trigger a man because he might not be handed in what he should. And here's a man now talking about certain things that should be happening. And you know what? That person isn't doing it. Therefore, I need to attack the guy that's speaking on it. Mm-hmm. Not to mention names, but a prime example is I've had certain men comment about certain things, and I've had that man's, for example, that man's baby mother, I'll be honest, then contact me to tell me the person that's actually slagging you off in the comments hasn't seen his kid for 3 years. Prime example.
Funny that.
You trigger someone, they need to respond when actually they're not handling it. Because how I look at it, if someone's got a platform and it doesn't affect me in any way, like as in that person's just speaking their experience or whatever, why am I bothered by it? Why am I so passionate about something when it doesn't relate to me? I feel like to be really passionate and annoyed by anything I say, it has to be because it connects to you somehow.
Yes.
And I feel like, I don't know, I can go off on a tangent.
Go off on the tangent, that's what we're here for.
I feel the one thing that is easy to do sometimes is if I say something about men, men will say, you need to speak about women. If I say something about women, women will say, you need to speak about men.
Yeah.
And if I sat there trying to come up with a piece of content that ticked everyone's box, there'd be no videos on my page.
I hear that.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be possible. And I think when we talk about co-parenting, I think that's one of our biggest issues. We're always talking about the other, you know what, no, you need to do this, no, you need to do that. Like everyone's going back and forth rather than actually just listening.
Yeah.
People are just responding.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect segue into accountability, because I remember I was having this conversation with somebody and, you know, again, he was saying, you know, the conversation isn't balanced, you know, I know a guy whose woman stopped him from seeing his kids, yada, 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 yada. You know, no one wants to talk about those things, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But, you know, is he addressing the things that he may have been responsible for in bringing the situation to what it is? Because what I find is that a lot of people do lack accountability. People aren't prepared to look inwards before they look outwards. Do you understand what I'm saying?
100%. And I think that's, if you really pay attention to what the whole platform is about, right? It's about me as a man saying, I was once a dickhead.
Yeah.
Like I was once quite rude. I was once quite difficult. I was once a certain way. Mm-hmm. And as I've grown, I've realized and reflected and now hold myself accountable that I could have done better. In my younger days, I could have done a lot better. So when I know that there's men reaching out to me saying, you know what, your content's made me think, I've actually changed the way I've acted because of it.
Yeah.
That to me is a positive. There are going to be men that say, no, you need to change this and you need to change that. But if I changed that, I wouldn't have had the impact I've had on the men that I've had the impact on.
Yeah. No, 100%. What are your thoughts on the fact that a lot of people feel like you're pandering to women?
When we say pandering, yeah, that's a new word for me, D. So you might have to. Are we saying catering? Are we saying what are we?
Yeah. So it's like, so pandering is kind of like, yes, you're catering for women, but you're also kind of like. That's not even
what
a word.
What did we just do there? What did we just do there? What just happened? I thought that was a new podcast. I thought we started a new podcast.
So,
right.
Okay. Yeah, for real, what was that?
For anyone listening to the audio,
this will probably be cut. Yeah, so when I say pandering, I guess it would be kind of like brown nosing.
Okay, like walking on eggshells almost for the women, like being
like more so trying to
kissing us,
you know, because a lot of men feel like women are not accountable. So here comes you, who's talking about, you know, men, we need to do better, yada yada yada. But I think, truth be told, if things were the other way round, I don't know. Would the men entirely listen anyway?
Well, there's 2 points to this, yeah? Point one is that only 11% of men are actually the main carers. Mm-hmm. Right? So if we're talking about co-parenting, 89% of the main residential parent is female. Right? Yeah. So that means that the man is not present at home. It's the woman not being left to, but as the main carer, raising that child with the man coming in and out as he pleases, right? So that's a massive audience when we're talking about co-parenting, right?
Yeah.
So if I just focus on the dads, I feel like I'm missing a whole heap. Like let me explain it this way. I get that there's men that are being stopped from seeing their children, and I think that's disgusting, yeah? Unless there's domestic violence and other reasons as to why the woman's preventing the man from seeing the child. But I know that there's a larger pool of men that aren't handling their responsibilities. And I know that because there's men like that I personally know and have had to speak to.
Right, okay.
So again, it's what am I living? I'm living and I'm seeing people that I know that aren't handling their responsibilities and that I've spoken to, and I'm getting messages from people that I'm responding to in video content. If what I'm saying wasn't relevant, there wouldn't be so many people
right,
contacting me or actual representations of the things that I speak of. Imagine if everything I was saying was made up. I just feel like my content is based off actual stuff that's happened. Like I'm either speaking from my own experience or I'm speaking of a friend that I know. It's rare that I just make up content for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Like, that just doesn't satisfy me.
You know, in terms of the men who, you know, feel like you are being very one-sided, but then like you said, like you've just explained, you know, you're not making this up, and it's very clear from the comments and the feedback from women. And don't get me wrong, there were, you know, a few men in the comments as well who were kind of, you know, praising you and saying, do you know what, like, King, you're doing well. Like,
shout
thank
out to
you.
those men.
Right? Do you know what I mean? But you know, the fact is that, you know, there are so many. I see the comments after women saying, "Thank you for saying that, because this is basically my experience." You know.
But think about that, right? So anyone watching, I always say, go into the comment section of any of my posts, right? And if you go into it with the mindset of this man's chatting rubbish, but then you take time to read the comments, if you're reading, I don't know, 50 comments from women saying, thank you, oh my God, I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
How can you then say what I'm saying is rubbish? Like, how can, if you actually take the time, because what a lot of people do is they watch the video and say, this man's chatting rubbish. Go into the comments, look at people responding. And then be like, okay, what he's saying must make sense because people are saying they're living this.
Yeah. And also, in addition, I think, I mean, numbers don't lie. So for all of the, 250,000 views?
For that one.
For that particular one, right? I know for a fact that nowhere near that amount of people that have actually complained and, you know, said XYZ actually even watched the full episode. So again, I think you cannot judge a conversation or a topic based on a 1 minute or 2 minute clip. Like if you're invested in improving your co-parenting relationship, you're invested in improving your self-awareness and accountability and your mental wellness, which is, you know, what my platform is about, then you will invest your time to actually watch the full episode. I don't believe that you can jump up and down and scream, and I'm not saying you're not entitled to your opinion, of course you are, but base your opinion on the full bit of footage that there is, not based on a minute or a minute and a half of a clip.
I think you can actually connect what you said to co-parenting in the sense of like people aren't listening. Like you're not taking the time. Like a lot of men and women argue because you're not actually listening to what's being said.
Yeah.
You're waiting for your opportunity to respond. You're hearing a section of what the man said or what the woman said, and then you're going off Same thing with the video. You're hearing a clip.
Yeah.
And then you're going off acting like you know what the whole episode was about. You haven't watched it. You haven't listened to what the other person's saying, and you've gone off. Like, for any successful relationship, you have to be able to listen and then respond. Too many people react.
Yeah, 100%.
Too many people reacting. Mm-hmm. I like analogies, yeah? So when you go to a McDonald's drive-thru, yeah, you speak to give your order, right? What do? They repeat back to you what you've ordered.
Yeah.
You then collect what you've ordered. There's no miscommunication. Like, you've spoken, they've repeated back, they've listened to you, it comes up on the screen, you collect your order. In co-parenting or relationships, why are we not doing that? Instead, it's speaking. You could say to someone, I want a cheese. Oh, like, you want a cheeseburger? You want this? No, like, I just wanted a cheese sandwich with some cucumber in it and a bit of a drink on the side. But you've heard cheese and you've automatically just started jumping in. Like, we need to start listening to what's actually being said.
Yeah.
Same thing with the content. Listen to the full episode.
Yeah.
Don't just watch a clip, make up your mind off of that, or hear a word, some men, and then some people's jumping in there. No, not all men are like that. Haven't said it.
Haven't said that. But again, even what you just said there linked back to the whole purpose of the episode, because it was about healthy communication. So that's how I know a lot of people didn't actually watch it. Because if you watched it, you would have had a better understanding of some of the things that you were saying in the first place. You know?
There just needs to be, I just feel like there just doesn't need to be so much tension. Like, I just feel that my whole page and that whole episode was a very positive episode, and it helped a lot of people. The page helps a lot of people. I think the episode helped a lot of people feel connected. There's so many people going through things and they feel alone. They feel like, you know what, I'm the only one going through this. How am I going to move on? I'm never going to find anyone. Like, if we can speak a sentence that connects to someone and can uplift them and make them feel like, okay, someone gets it, why are we not going to do that? Like, it doesn't have to be a power battle. I feel like as men, I'll say it, like, we can uplift each other. Like, we don't need to see another man doing certain things and, you know what, attack him. If there's a genuine issue, I had someone the other day reach out to me and say, bro, I just want to understand your page a bit more. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? And we had a healthy conversation about it. There doesn't need to be an attack. I heard a quote, and it was, choose the power of love over the love of power. Yeah? Because so many, like, especially, let's talk about co-parenting. Like, your love for your child should be the most important thing, rather than the love of having power over someone. Yeah, being able to try and control the other parent. That is where a lot of the issues are created, because we're trying to control someone. We're trying to have power over someone. Let's just focus on the love of the child.
I think that's a perfect segue into, I guess, my kind of next question, because, again, I feel like a lot of these discussions I had were very probably ego-driven, you know, kind of beat my chest, I'm the man, I'm the father, what is it about the male psyche and ego? So, you know, going back to, you know, the days when when you've openly said, like, I was a, did you say prick or a dickhead?
You can choose either.
Okay, because I just wanted to be careful.
Go with whatever you want.
I wanted to be careful because I didn't want to call you a prick.
What I said.
But yeah, like, so going back to those days when you were that guy, what was going on in your head? Because this is the thing. When I've heard men, not all of you, some, when I've had certain feedback, I almost feel like certain people have been blinded by they don't even realize that their ego is involved in this conversation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And this is why, for me, it's not even a case of attacking those people, because if you don't know that it's your ego talking, then there's nothing you can do about it. So could you maybe give us an example of maybe some ego-driven things that you did as a younger dad?
Everything in my younger days was based off of fear, right? So, for example, I break up with the mother of my child, there's a fear and my mind running off that you become paranoid. So, for example, like, you're no longer together and you're thinking, well, where's she going? What's she doing? Who's she with? Like, you're not around that person as much. Yeah. You start to make up scenarios in your head and you connect it to your child somehow. But it's all fear-based. I've always said, we need to start feeling comfortable. If the other partner, if the other parent moves on, it doesn't change your role. Your position of mum or dad is solidified. Like, no one can come along and change. No one can come along and change that. When people see Tyler's stepdad, men have questioned my role. Like, oh, but are there boundaries? Does Tyler know your dad? And Tyler's very aware. Like, Tyler's a 9-year-old child that's very aware. This is my dad, and this is my stepdad. But he doesn't call his stepdad, calls him Brad. But the fear a lot of men have is, this man takes my role. Mm-hmm. No one will ever take your role. As long as you're doing your role.
As long as you're doing your role, absolutely. I'm trying to think. I'm sure I saw... Was it feedback or did I see something regarding... I think there was something in one of the comments where I think a couple people might have said that they found it a bit disrespectful that he calls him by his first name, because I think there was some
that he should be calling him dad, stepdad, or
it was and I was a bit surprised because I was a bit like, oh, okay, because I wouldn't. It was only like 1 or 2 people that I saw, but they were like, out of respect, I'm the stepfather in my situation. They can't call me by my first name. So maybe not. But then you're dad, but maybe
that's ego. That's ego there, because you came. I did not come into my son's life as Aaron.
Yeah.
And then he started to figure out, oh, he's not Aaron. He's my dad now. Yeah. I've always been dad. A stepdad comes in. That child's not going to be introduced to that man from day one as, this is your stepdad. It's going to be introduced to him as Brad, Daniel, Stephen, whatever. Mm. And then because of the marriage, he now has a different title. But you know him as his first name. Why are you now going to start calling him like
something else?
I don't know. That's like if one of your boys like becomes a manager, like you're not going to call him boss. Still going to probably call him...
Might do for bands.
Might, yeah, but to me, like, none of my boys could be called boss. Nah, your name is your name. Like. But again, it's people feeling like there's one way.
Yeah.
Like, no, I wouldn't have someone calling me by my first name. Why not? Like, what... If someone does, what does that change? Does it change anything? Mm. Does it mean you're not stepdad
anymore? Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
so can I ask you a question? So how would you feel if Tyler, for example, did start to call Brad dad?
As in actual, just straight dad?
Straight dad. So your dad, he's dad. How would you feel about that?
There'd have to be a conversation. Like, I wouldn't, in the sense of, I feel like dad and dad, the titles aren't the same. Mm-hmm. Like, and there may be a lack of education on a child that's saying that, in my example, unless, remove me for a second, right? Mm-hmm. There's certain men who have got with a woman and that woman's baby father has not been around from day dot.
Yeah.
Yeah? And this man is now helping raise... I know one of my good friends came into the picture and helped raise a child from 1 or however young. And that man has always been looked at as dad. The actual dad was hardly about.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
In circumstances like that, I feel like, I said this on the last episode, like the title of father or dad has so many things that come, that you have to do certain things.
Yeah.
You can't just be given that title, oh, you know what, I helped give birth to you, therefore call me this.
Yeah.
No, I'm calling you this because of how you've behaved in my life. Like, if I see my dad on road, I saw him in Sainsbury's 8 years ago. So he walked past me in Sainsbury's.
So you've still not seen him since?
In 8 years ago in Sainsbury's. Yeah.
Like, so maybe we spoke about that on an episode before.
I called his name.
Okay.
I didn't say dad. I called his name. Because to me, that you haven't been that.
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it.
Like, so if Tyler's calling his stepdad dad, it's just, to me, I'd speak to him. I'd say, you know what, I'm dad. I feel like we'd all have a conversation because that's come from somewhere. Tyler would naturally come out with that. So that would then be, for me, his mum. Because if I go in saying, you can't do that, what you're doing, he's going to feel like he's done something wrong. And he's done that probably I don't know why he's done that. But there needs to be discussions, which is why everyone needs to kind of be in communication with each other at times.
Another comment I got, so we're going to go into, because, there was, like we were discussing off air, there was a little bit of, feelings towards, another kind of reel you did, or podcast episode where you were sitting down with your son's stepdad. And then he also spoke about, you guys going on a family trip and how great it was.
Yeah.
Now, firstly, can I say, I thought that was absolutely beautiful, right? And then someone said to me, well, do you think it's appropriate for turning the tables? Do you think it's appropriate that you would be pallied up with your ex's current partner? Like, how do you think that would make your ex feel? So in that kind of context, would you say Tyler's mum is entirely comfortable? Am I going too far? I don't know if I'm going too far.
Yeah. No. Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do you feel that Tyler's mum is comfortable with the fact that how close are you? Because maybe this is what we need to get to the root of. Like, I think I saw in the clip that you said, if I was going through something, I feel like I could call you. Like, you didn't quote unquote say, like, when I'm down and out, like, this is my guy, this is who I want. No. You didn't say that.
So how that runs is what I was referring to is, if there's an issue within the household, I feel no way about going to him. Like, I will come. There's certain people you don't have a relationship with that man. Like, certain men might not have a relationship with that other parent. But I'm cool with him to the point of, if there's an issue, I know I can come to him and we can talk about it as men.
Okay.
There's not going to be a beef, a drama, or whatever. We can discuss. There's times I can't get hold of Tyler's mum, so I can call him.
Okay, right.
There's times where he'll come and pick Tyler up from mine, because Tyler's mum's busy, or I can't drop back. Yeah. So it actually makes life easier.
Easier that you have somewhat of a relationship.
There's someone else there. And I was thinking this the other day, like, we worry about about the other parent moving on, but sometimes if that parent is such a bad parent, or that is draining you that much, if they meet someone and are now happy, it might actually benefit your relationship. Yeah. That they can be someone else's problem, that person might help change them. There can be so many benefits to that person meeting someone. But yeah, in terms of that, we're not, I haven't seen him since that episode, for example. It's not someone that I'm hanging around with every day. Yeah. Like, if I go to see Tyler, I might go in the house, I might ask where he is, have a little catch up, football, what's going on with this, what's going on with that, and keep it moving. But there's no animosity.
Do you feel like there are adequate boundaries in place in terms of your relationship with him? Between you and Tyler's stepdad?
Boundaries between us?
Yeah. Because that's a lot of comments I've got. They were like, there's clearly no boundaries here. There needs to be some type of...
But then what are adequate boundaries? What between father and the stepfather, what are adequate boundaries? You lot shouldn't talk. Or you know what, you should just say hi and bye.
Yeah, basically.
Or it's like saying, let's just use a work analogy, yeah? Your manager. Some people go out after work with their manager. Mm-hmm. Should there be boundaries there? That's your manager. Should you be doing that?
Well, you always go out for a work drinks, don't you?
But that's your manager, right? There's roles. We're talking about roles. Mm-hmm. So we're saying dad, stepdad, they should just do what they're meant to do. Yeah, the roles are separate. You shouldn't merge them. Shouldn't try and get along. Manager, colleague, people, it's not the title. It's how the person is. Mm. That's how I look at it. Certain people, you're not going to go out for lunch or dinner with a manager that you don't get along with, or that you just really don't like at all. Like, I would not like link or go in the house and ask for the stepdad if he was an idiot. But we have banter. Like, no, there's boundaries, but it's not a relationship where we're best friends. Do you see what I mean? I'm just cool with the guy.
Cool with the guy. Yeah. Okay, so I think that should clear up some of the, you know, comments and confusion, because I think a lot of people were under the assumption that this was your new
BFF.
homie. Yeah, your new homie. You guys are rolling and the such. So
no. Like, I appreciate what he's done for my son. Like, and I think we have to be mindful of that. Like, a good step parent, like, will benefit your child. Like, they've got a great bond. I'm happy with their bond. Tyler's happy. He knows who his dad is. He knows who his mum is. Like, there's no confusion. But my child is happy. This man has brought value to my child's life. Like, because I'm not there. I think what we need to understand is, although I'm Tyler's dad, I don't live with him. I'm not with him 24/7. I don't take him to school every day. I don't pick him up from school every day. And I know there's men that can say, well, you should. My timetable, my schedule, because I'm not with his mum, doesn't allow me to do that. Like, I work, like, I've been in relationships myself. It just doesn't pan out that way. But there's a man who is more present than me, doing a great job with his mum and with Tyler. I don't find an issue with that.
So again, I think it probably draws back to what you were saying earlier about maybe men feeling like their role is being taken. But like you said, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then there wouldn't really be any risk of that. However, but again, there was still men who are very much, you know, in their children's lives that still kind of had that same opinion of, you know, it should literally just be hi and bye, maybe a little spud, saying cool, yeah, and then kind of keep it moving. So do you think that's an ego thing again?
I don't think there's anything wrong. You'll have relationships where it will just be that. Do you know, highs, buys, keep it moving, and that can work. You'll have relationships where there might be people that talk a bit more. That will work. I think we need to get away from this mindset of there should be one set way.
Yeah.
And anything that stems away from that is like, I don't know, we attack it. No, that's not right. Like, who determines what's right? Yeah. Shouldn't the focus be if the child's happy?
And what's right for the child?
And I think a lot of people that comment have commented from a personal perspective. No one said anything. I think all the negative comments I saw were focused on how the man would feel. I couldn't allow that.
Yeah.
Like, rather than, my child might, like, that might work for my child, or, yeah, that would be pretty cool. I think my child would love that. It was always how that man felt.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, so we're now joined by my co-host of At Your Big Age, Kieron. Welcome.
All right.
How are you doing today?
All right, yeah.
Good.
Not bad.
So we're gonna, because again, you know, a lot of men were saying that, you know, there's barely any discussion about women and what, you know, women do and, you know, their part to play in the breakdown of the co-parenting relationship. So just to throw it out there, what are some of the things that you've experienced, Kieron, when it comes to difficulties when co-parenting with a woman?
Where to start?
I mean, also just to add, you know, Kieron, you came on last year, March or April, and you spoke. That episode is called "Fatherhood: The Untold Story," and we spoke in depth about, you know, your kind of your journey with fatherhood. So yeah, please do check out the episode.
Before I'm just going to go back, because me and Aaron had a whole conversation off camera. I just want to add something that I feel like a lot of people were getting onto him because his level of maturity makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable. Do you get what I mean? So because he can, and I just said this as well, because they can't do it, he shouldn't do it. Do you get it?
Yeah.
So that makes that, he shouldn't do that. Because I wouldn't do that. I'd never do that. So he shouldn't do it. So people need to kind of worry about themselves a little bit more instead of getting onto people who choose to parent in a certain way.
I think I agree.
People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Anyway, what are we saying? So my experience with women and the difficulty in co-parenting.
Because like I say, a lot of comments and feedback I got were, there's no discussions around women not being accountable for the things they do. For example, women will purposely withhold a father from seeing their child because, for example, they've not received payment that month.
But not to cut you, but legally, like, women can do that. There's no, like, the scales of justice aren't tipped in our favour. That's why you got the whole Fathers for Justice stuff and all of that. So in my case, like, I had court orders to see my daughter when she was 4, 5. You'd go up there like every other weekend. I'm supposed to have her. I'd make the journey, get there, ring the doorbell. There's no one in the house. You go back to court. The judge says you're supposed to be there. She's there for 2 weeks. You go there the next week. There's no one there. The judge goes back and says whatever, threatens all sorts, but there's no actual follow through. Whereas if it's us, the CSA will get involved. They're taxing your earnings. They're threatening to take your passport. So it's not.
But you know what? It's not to cut you off. It's not necessarily if it's us, because there are men that are the main carers.
Yeah.
So I think it's more in relation. I was saying earlier, there's only 11% of men that are actually the main carers. 89% of main carers are female.
Okay.
So I guess in those instances, the main carer, if it is a male, would have the same control.
Yeah.
But in those instances, you're saying that you was back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth.
And there was no repercussions.
Nah, not at all. She did it for years. And then it just fizzled out completely. But there were actual court orders in place that if I hadn't have stuck to, the judge would have threw it out and said, but you're not serious, you're not coming.
Yeah.
So it's not, and this is probably that's the least of some of the stuff that people are having to deal with, because women, not to say women do stuff when they're hurt, but a lot of women are genuinely hurt. You might move on. You with somebody else. She don't like that. She don't. And it's the same as men. Men, I don't want this guy around my kid.
Yeah.
And women will say the same thing. I don't want this woman around my daughter, or I don't want this woman around my son. I don't want this woman doing my son's hair, or this, that, and the third. So it's the stepfather thing. It kind of goes both ways, because there are women that will be adamant that their child can't have a stepmother, but they'll be the ones that are doing the most. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But do you think there it's more about they don't want someone around the child, or they don't want another woman around a man?
It's both. It's ego.
Yes, yeah.
Ego's a wicked thing. Ego's a wicked thing, and it's always aimed at men. Like, men are the only ones with ego. But women have egos too.
No, that's very true.
Yeah. Women have egos too, and when you couple that with
power,
they've got and then they're jilted as well. That's like the whole unholy trinity. There's a lot going on. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot happening. Do you know what I mean? So I want you. You don't want me. So I can't. How do I get back at you? We've got a kid. You've got a partner. I don't want her around my kid.
But then that's the whole point, though, isn't it? We're using the kid as the weapon.
As the weapon.
Right. Like, my issue is with you as the dad, or my issue is with you as the mum. But you know what? Let me now involve the child, because that can hurt you a bit more.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because the child acts as collateral, don't they?
Yeah, but the child is the one being damaged.
Absolutely.
And when the she-go or ego's involved, we're not thinking about that. All we're thinking about is wanting to hurt the other person.
Yeah.
What's going to piss that person off? He's going to have to travel all the way up, and I'm not going to be there. That's his wasted time. Or you know what? She's going to need money at the first of the month. I'm not going to give it to her. You know what? She's going to suffer for that. Well, that might actually now affect your child as well.
It's mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
Literally, everybody suffers.
Anyone can get it.
Yeah, everybody suffers, but do people really care? Of course they don't care.
Do you know what? I think people care, but I think they get blindsided by the hurt that they've experienced. You know, like just let's say, for example, I feel like there were a lot of comments, you know, from your post, and I even had a couple DMs from people saying about how their ex-partner was very abusive to them, and they struggle with having, you know, a co-parenting relationship because they don't want to get themselves involved in an abusive situation again. So it might not even be physical, but, you know, verbal abuse is still a thing.
You know what I've always said though, in most of my videos, I always say read the caption.
People don't read captions.
Read the there's content under a lot of the videos that we post, and a lot of the times I'm saying this will probably be different if domestic abuse or violence is involved, because it's not as straightforward. And those situations are a lot more difficult because there's so much fear involved, and a man can manipulate you or a woman can manipulate you into, you know what, you need to come around because the child, you should be picking up your phone because of the child, when in reality it's, I don't care about the child, I actually I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you.
Yeah. I think even off air we were speaking about a scenario where someone's ex-partner, the mother, called at like something to 11 to ask to speak to the child the following morning. Now, that was unnecessary.
I used to get stuff like that all the time. People do that all the time. That's the easiest. You'll be in bed and you'll get a phone call at like 11:45.
But what do you think? Okay, so let's talk about this and let's literally break it down. What is that person getting from doing something like that?
Access
to
the parent, not to the child.
And I can still wind you up.
Okay.
So no matter what, no matter how far removed you feel like you are from this situation, i.e. me, I still have the power to wind you up. So the younger the child gets older, child hits 16, you get less and less power now.
Yeah.
Because you can talk to your kid.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up to maybe 10. That's still the first port of call. The parent will call the other parent. Whether it's necessary or not.
Yeah.
They forgot their toothbrush. It's midnight. Wait, can you tell him that to call his nan in the morning? He's got a phone. You can call him. Do you know what I mean? Like these are, but it's.
I know examples where a man will call a woman after the child's gone to bed, knowing the child's gone to bed, and be like, he's gone to bed, hasn't he? Yeah, he's asleep. So how was your day?
All you need is an in, right?
So, I just needed you to open the door, and you've opened the door. I'm in. Now I'm in. Let's have a conversation about you, so I can then get into your business. But back on what you were saying, like a lot of people are now giving their children mobile phones at a younger age to cut that.
To cut that out.
Yeah. Like Amari had a phone, it must have been at 8 or 9, and the idea was that I contact him on the phone. The only problem was he ain't answering the phone. He's 8. Hardly got the phone on him. So now I'm calling 2 phones and getting ignored. I can't get hold of anyone.
So what point did you stop making late night calls?
I've never made late. Like to me, it doesn't feel right for me. If I'm calling my child's mum after 7 o'clock, I feel like I'm interfering with something. Like, can it wait? Let me drop a text. Like to actually call. Like I'll send a text to say, you know what? I know it's a bit late, but if Tyler's up, can you get him to call me? Yeah. She can then respond and say, nah, he's asleep. I'll get him to call you in the morning. Cool. Like, because what am I really doing? Like that conversation is only probably for me to say night or whatever. I can say night to him tomorrow. I can say morning to him.
Even that, you're going to get stick for that. You're going to get stick for saying that. I call when I want. My youth's there. I call when I want. No one can't tell me I can't call. Do you know what I mean? Like we're adults, especially adults. At some point, you kind of have to want to not be in an argument with someone. Whether it's your ex, whether it's your ex's new boo, Like, you have to kind of sometimes wake up and don't choose violence, innit?
Yeah.
I said earlier,
choose peace always.
I said, choose the power of love over the love of power.
Yeah.
Because it takes a hell of a lot more energy for you to be vexed.
Yep.
For no reason. And, all right, cool. Analogy. I love an analogy, mate.
Oh, my guy, let's go.
You go out to a restaurant, you get bad service from the waiter.
Yeah.
You're not going to be rude to the person bringing you your food, right? Because they could do anything to your food.
Yeah.
So say on the flip side of that, this person is living with your child, right? This is their first port of call if you're not there.
Yeah.
The mum's there, the partner's there. I don't want to be rude to you. You need to look after my child.
Yeah.
So you're not going to look at my kid and think your dad is that. If you fall over and hurt yourself, you know what? I'm not even interested.
Yeah.
No, it's real.
No, but it's true.
Do you know what I mean? Because you have to want the best for your youth.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the circumstances are. So if they're living with somebody else, that person have to be cool.
Yeah, 100%.
We have to be cool.
I'm with you. I'm with you when I say I'm with you all the way, I'm with you because that's currently like a transition that I'm currently going through, and for me, I'm very much like, and I even said this to my ex's current partner. I said to her, look, there is no issue between me and you until there's an issue.
Yeah. Respect.
So, but I feel like a lot of people kind of start off with the scenario where they feel like there has to be an element of authority, or stand off energy and stuff like that. For what? Because I know eventually there's going to come a day when you are going to be looking after my child. You know what I mean? Her dad might pop out for 2 hours, and she's going to be in your care. Yeah. So I need to make sure that
you got my child's best interest,
right?
But I tell you, I'll be honest with you. Up until my barber said this to me the other day, I was talking to my barber. He asked me about. We had a barbershop conversation, as you do. And it was part of it was, would you look after, like, would you get with a woman with kids? Would you look after? And me,
this is my specialty.
I was in my ignorant energy. This is recent, you know. No,
I'll be real. Specialty. No, for
I'll
real.
Be real.
I feel like it just.
I was in my ignorant, and I said later, no way. Nah, what for? Nah, this is recent.
So you wouldn't get with someone that has
No, I was saying that.
You were saying that, yeah.
I've had some things happen. It's different now.
Life happens.
Life happens. It's different now. But at the time, I'm saying, nah, no way. Me, nah, I'm not looking after. What am I looking after? I've got my own kids.
Yeah.
I'm not looking after nobody. 180. I'm stepping back. 42 in December. I might meet someone that's got. If I check for the woman, why wouldn't I want to check for the kid?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to deal with you and not deal with your kid.
Because that's a package.
Yeah. And and at the age we're at, the chances of you meeting somebody with children are very high. So if you click with someone, they got kids. I've got kids. The woman would have to take on my kids.
And that's hypocritical, isn't it?
Right. And I hate hypocrites. So I've had to do in the last, what are we in now? August. April, maybe this was a
realization.
No, for real, I'm being honest. Like April. And I said it, and then I went home and I sat and I thought about it. I said, you know what? Nah. You got 3 kids. Yeah? One's could all give me grandparents at some point. She's that big. There's a middle one and there's a young one. So if anyone I'm meeting, I'm coming with that.
But you know what though? You're coming with that, but from a part-time angle.
Yeah.
You're going into meeting someone full-time.
Yeah.
It's like what I kind of struggled with is if I get with someone that has kids, I'm gonna see their kids more than mine.
No, but
and that was a mental thing for me that I had to get over, because you do feel guilty.
Yeah, but then it's you. I think you said it off camera as well. If you, from your dad, regardless. Yeah. So as long as you don't neglect
100%
your kids.
Yeah.
Then you can, because people like the blended family thing. People do it.
Yeah,
it works. Yeah, it works, man. But you just have to. In anything, there's got to be balance. So you might have your kids the weekend. All right, cool. I've got this one. This is whoever. We're rolling.
Yeah.
Well, if we're talking about for you to be with someone that has kids, you're going to be dealing with a baby father.
100%.
Yeah. That relationship can make or break whether or not I feel you stay with that woman.
Yeah.
Like the baby father can, if there's no boundaries in place, if their relationship is all over the place, that can affect your relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And I feel like it's so important. I always say that if a woman or a man is going to move on, start dating people with, I don't know, start dating and you're bringing your children into it, you need to make sure your situation's patterned.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like you can't help it if you've got a difficult baby father. You can't help that. But this baby father is going to cause your new man trouble. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be drama. Like, if he's a good man, because he would want to look at everyone as a package, right? So that means he wants to be involved. He's going to be around the children more. You got a crazy baby father. He's not having that.
So I'm kind of new to this game, right? So, but who do you think, or is there a difference? Do you think maybe women can cause more trouble than men?
Men do.
So men. Okay, so we're saying that. Kieron said men cause the most trouble.
Can we just like slow motion that down? Whatever, like a man agreeing that men, which is why when I say a lot of my content is based on what actually happens.
Men do.
You go in the comments of clips and you see women going off saying, "Oh my God, I'm going through this. Oh my God, I'm going through this." You'll see the odd man saying this is rubbish.
Yeah, because they're the ones that are doing it. Real talk, they're the ones that are doing it.
And it's brought shame to them.
Yeah, you hold a mirror up to me, I don't like it now, and it's now you're talking it. No one likes to see the truth, or especially when it's getting 20,000 views or whatever, and I'm sitting there and I know
I'm not handling my...
I'm being an absolute to my baby mother, and I'm making things mad difficult for her and her new man. Here is a man getting attention from telling people that there are men like me that do this stuff. I'm not agreeing with, and there are women agreeing. There are women agreeing. They might all be his baby mother in the comments agreeing, talking about the same dude. And now he's going to say, nah.
We kind of touched on that too.
You're simping. Oh, you're simping.
Hey, that's what I got called. I thought he like changed the S for a W or whatever. I didn't know. I was like, what's a simp?
Yeah, I'm simping.
Originally, I was like, simp, are you sure? Like, then I had to find out what a simp was. I was like, oh, these guys are sensitive.
Simping because this is your reality, right? You're only ever talking from
my perspective, what I've been through, my eyes, my vision, what I've seen, being raised. My dad wasn't around.
Right.
My mum done everything.
Right.
Yeah, my mum never closed the door on my dad. 3 half sisters, they don't claim me. Like being raised, my mum got with a man. So I also saw that. So a man is now living with me and my mum. So you got the, I guess, man takes on a woman and child element. There was domestic violence. I've literally covered every angle that I speak of. Like, I'm not making anything up. The one thing I can't talk about or understand is being a woman that is dealing with a difficult baby father. I can't speak on that because I'm not that female. Like, there's clearly a market for it. So if you are a female that's been going through that, create a page.
Speak up, man.
It'll take off.
I mean, if you want to talk about it, you feel free to come into Love Lay Bear. Yeah. I mean, I think in all co-parenting relationships, there's going to be issues. I mean, I've definitely had mine, but they have been minute in comparison to a lot of people I know, a lot of the stories that I've heard, So, as you were talking, I was thinking, oh, maybe I could. And I was thinking, well, no. The only thing I think I could probably do is maybe advise on how to do it the right way, or the way that kind of causes less friction, because I think, again, I got a lot of feedback from, some men saying, because there wasn't really any women that were like,
there wouldn't be.
No, it was all men, and they were kind of like, but it's easy for you to say that because you've had a perfect situation. No, I haven't.
It's human assumption.
I haven't, but we've just got to a place where we have a level of respect for each other that it never goes there. Does that make sense? And we're both very aware of, if we know, or he knows that he's getting a bit heated, it's just like, do you know what?
But there's maturity.
I'm gonna step away from this conversation now. I'm gonna,
there's maturity.
And we'll revisit because at the end of the day, the priority is our daughter. So if we're not trying to make things better for her, then what's this discussion all about?
But did you break up on reasonable terms? I don't want to say good or bad, or just like reasonable.
No.
No?
What do you mean the circumstances?
As in, like, was it
amicable? Like,
because that seemed, what you're talking about is very mature, like the way you're handling things. And the reason why I'm asking is because the women who have been cheated on, like I had one woman ask me, how do I get along with my baby father's partner when that's the woman he cheated on me with?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I've made it very open and clear that I suffered from a lot of infidelity in my relationship, and that ultimately was the reason that my marriage ended, right? Now again, yes, that happened, but how long can I carry feelings about that for? This is why things like therapy are important. Self-awareness is very important, you know, because I had to, again, my daughter has always been at the forefront of everything I do. So I had to make a decision and say, okay, I can be that woman or I can be this woman. And you know what? I'm leaning towards this woman because this woman is going to be a lot more peaceful. She's going to be a lot more balanced. And she doesn't want the wahala of these types. No, but it's true. Like, I didn't want the wahala of situations that I've seen between people that are trying to co-parent. And it's very evident that, you know, people are still carrying, you know, it can be trauma. I carry trauma, you know. I never felt like I got to a point of bitterness or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like I made sure that I didn't get to that point because I was invested in my daughter so much. Yeah. So it was important for me that I got my mind right. I got my balance right. And with anything to do with healing, I'm here for it and I'm down because I want to make sure that my daughter has the best possible experience she can have with both of us as parents. And luckily, you know, I had a child with somebody who equally feels the same. And that's not to say that neither of us don't sometimes go off on one or what have you. But like I said, it never gets disrespectful. Like, he's never called me a bitch. He's never called me cunt. He's never said any of those types of things. You know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of like, it's getting loud. Okay, bring your voice down. Okay, don't patronize me. Don't be condescending. Okay, but bring your voice down. And then, do you know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, if we can't see here, let's just end the phone call and we'll revisit another time.
But you know your roles. I feel like there's two people there that understand we're on the same team. Yeah. That we're on the same team and we're going to deal with this in a professional manner, so to speak. It's like a job. I always say co-parenting is a business. Yeah. Yeah. Certain people hate their jobs. Yeah. But you're still going to show up on time, do your job, probably try and get along with everyone. But then when the job's finished, clock out, cuss off, do what you need to. Or two people on a pitch, they don't get along. But you know what? We've got a job to do. We need to win this game. Yeah. So let's work together to win this game. When we get the egos involved, and it's like, all I want to do is make sure I got power over you. And I want to make your life hell because it makes me feel better.
You lot might have touched on this because I'm coming on
go
midway through, but I feel like a lot of the people complaining aren't really doing what they're supposed to be doing anyway, if we're being honest. Because if you were, it wouldn't really be an issue.
Why would it trigger you?
Like, if you're triggered because there's somebody else spending time with your son or daughter, I would suggest, and people can complain and get at me, I couldn't care less, I would suggest it's because you know there is a gap there. That is going to be filled by somebody else. Fact. Because nothing can't trigger you unless it's true, you know.
That's true.
I said, like, your role as dad is solidified. As long as you're playing that role, though. If a man comes in, if the father's been missing, and a new man comes onto the scene and takes on that woman and child as a package and is now helping out, is now doing things and showing this kid certain things, there's a void. Yeah. We can't get mad at the man that's stepping up.
Right.
We need to be mad at the man that's not there.
That's not there. If you're not there, that's on you. It's not on the person that's stepping up. The person that's stepping up is supposed to get, you know what? Because it takes a village. Yeah. We forget, people throw that out regular. It takes a village. People need to look after these kids. So when there's people stepping into breaches to look after the said kids, they're being vilified instead of being celebrated. Yeah. But when they're not there, this is why Everyone's running around with knives. This is why the kids don't have no respect, because they don't have no fathers. All right, cool. So he's a stepfather. Nah, you shouldn't do that. Nah. So what are we doing?
But again, it boils back down to the ego.
Yeah.
But I keep saying, like, as men, we can hold other men accountable. Like, we can get through to men more than women can.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. You can talk to your boys, you can talk to other men, you know, and they will listen. Like you said, barbershop conversations. If you're in the right circle, you should be able to have that kind of conversation where another man can pull you up and say, 100%. You know what, you're not doing that the way you should. Yeah. And you should respect it. Me on camera, I'm speaking to men basically saying, you know what, I know some of you aren't doing what you should. Just fix up. I've been there, I've done it, but like, you can do better than that. No, you know what, I can't have that. No. What about the women? Let's distract.
Yeah.
Let's divert over here.
Yeah.
Like, the spotlight's on me, I don't like it, but what about the women over there?
Yeah. And it's just derailing the conversation.
That's why we never get anywhere.
Yeah, essentially.
Why we never get anywhere.
Yeah.
Same conversations over and over again, because no one wants to say, you know what, my man's got a point, you know.
Yeah.
Let me pick up the phone and say, listen, I've been a jackass.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
The money is a month late. I've just sent it, because realistically I had it the whole time. I'm just playing silly buggers. So I've just sent it. Next month, I'll make sure it's on time, and my bad. I'm sorry. Keep it moving. The world will be a better place.
Do you know how many men? Sorry, I know we was gonna talk about women, yeah, but I feel like certain things just trigger me, yeah, where I'm like, do you know how many like men I know don't have a routine with their children, and it's not because they can't, but they act like they can't, and I'm hearing what they're doing. And I'm hearing, oh yeah, but no, it's been a long day at work and I'm tired, or I got work, I got this. And I'm like, what about the mum that don't have that break? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're not stepping in, that means the mum's doing more. Yeah. So, like, if another man eventually comes along to take some of that load off that woman, and now he's chilling at home with your child so the woman can go out. Because you know what? Before him, that woman couldn't get to go out because you wasn't having your child.
Yeah, but he doesn't want her to go out.
He doesn't want her to go out. So now there's the issue with, well, this man is allowing this woman to have more freedom. He's the problem. This man is the problem. And it's wanting control. It's wanting someone to be still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't move on.
Yeah. And I guess you'd have to ask yourself, why do you want someone that you're no longer with? Why do you want them to be still? And again, I think I even said this earlier, most of the time people are more willing to point the finger outwards when they need to point the finger inwards. And when you're pointing the finger inwards, it means that you have to look at yourself, look at your behaviours, ask yourself, why did I do that? Like, how often are you actually sitting with yourself and saying, oh, why did I do that? Why have I been doing that? Because actually, when you really break it all down, you'll know that it's coming from a place, like you said earlier, from fear, from insecurity, from a place of vulnerability, and also from a place of ego. You know? So, yeah. Right, so is there any final points?
Fix up. Huh?
Yeah.
And then fix up, stop complaining.
do
what you're supposed to do, and stop whining when someone pulls you up on your nonsense. Yeah? Yeah. That's what I think. Anyway.
I think everyone just needs to do their role.
Do better.
Like, I feel like that's what it comes down to. Like, as men, we need to handle our responsibility. Like, actually fulfill the job you're meant to fulfill. Not, I don't know, like, imagine like your job requires you to be there 9 till 5, and you're telling your boss, oh, you know what, I might come in about 11. Like, I feel I might do a few hours this week. Like, you know what, I can't even work next week. Like, you just wouldn't do that with your boss. You wouldn't do that with your manager, but yet you're doing that in your co-parent relationship. There's no routine in place. You're basically telling your manager, which is the woman, so to speak, you know what, I don't really feel like working this week. I might come in next month though. Like, I'll let you know. Like, if that was an actual business, you'll be fired.
Yeah.
Long gone.
You know, I fear that I'm going to get some of the same feedback. See, this is what I mean. Like, I said there was no balance.
You need to get me on there.
And then it still fell back into, you know, women are the angels. I think what we'll do, I mean, if you listen to this episode and you still really feel like there wasn't enough balance in this conversation, me and Aaron have already discussed doing a live. haven't
yes.
we? So if you want to ask Aaron or myself any questions directly, I'm sure you follow the page because you're all commenting. So we will put something out if that's what you guys want. And we'll get a live going and you can throw your live questions out there and we can talk about women.
Really unpack.
But you know what? In order for you to ask any question, you have to watch the whole episode.
Yeah, and that too.
Because you can't watch a clip or half of the episode and then start writing a question. Watch the whole episode, and then if there's something that we haven't addressed or you feel away, talk to us then.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. Did you have another?
No, no.
I thought you put your finger up.
No.
Okay, guys. Well, if you've been affected by anything we've spoken about, all of our DMs are pretty much open.
You're not getting me on my DMs.
Open.
Not on your DMs.
DMs are a myth.
Sorry. How do people contact you? Sorry. Let me start.
Go through D. go through her DMs to get to me.
You gotta get to her, get to me.
Go through D, and she will pass on the message.
Okay. let me reframe that.
Okay. My DMs are going. It's too many.
You got to speak to the person to speak to the person.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for today, guys. I just want to thank Aaron and Kieron for coming onto the show. If you have been affected by anything we've spoken about, please head over to our resources page, which is www.loveleybear.com/resources. Alternatively, if you have any questions or comments, my DMs are open. Aaron's are not. Kieron, are your DMs
open like a clam? Open like that, like this. Anything you want to send me, I'm in it. No problem. Whether it's good or bad, bring them on.
They will both review the DMs before passing them on.
Filter them through.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, comments, or if you're interested in us doing a live, please let me know. Alternatively, you can email me at info@loveleybear.com. So yes, thank you for joining us again. We appreciate your support. I love you. Take care. And it's a wrap.
Love laid